Gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Cloud Talk Live. All right, folks, I'm glad that you're here. Oh yeah, look at the logo. Daniel, you got a little loop for us? Nah, don't worry about it. All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of Cloud Talk Live. My name is Jeff DeVerter. I'm the Chief Technology Evangelist for us here at Rackspace Technology. And I know, it's Monday. You're saying, Jeff, why are you here on a Monday? Because I'm going to be on a flight tomorrow when we're normally scheduled. So hopefully you're here. And if you are, I would love for you to introduce yourselves. We may even find some new guests here today on a crazy, beautiful Monday morning. So if you are here, I'd love for you to introduce yourselves and tell me who you are. Tell me where you are, and because it makes it so much more fun to know where in the world folks are coming in from, and this is really going to be a super fun episode. Folks, last week we had a great chat with AWS, and this week we are talking Microsoft technologies today, and it looks like we already do have our first person introducing. Boston is here. Namrata, welcome. I'm so glad that you are here from Boston. Look, everybody be like Boston today and introduce yourselves. Folks, we are going to dig into Microsoft Copilot. Are you using Copilot? Tell me if you are or aren't. There's a lot of different flavors of Copilot, and we're going to unpack some of that here today. And so if you want to get a hold of us also, outside of just sending a little message to me right now, well, I would encourage you to do so by sending an email to solve@rackspace.com. I will get a copy of that, as well as the rest of the production team that we have around here. So go ahead and do that. Adam from London, so glad that you are here. I hope your Monday is going very well. Gert down in Houston again. Glad to see you, Gert. We miss you around the rack. And of course, Gracie, hope you had a great trip over the weekend. All right, everybody, let's see what's up next on the old production deck here. I already talked to you about Copilot. We're going to talk all things Copilot today, and so I'd love for you to introduce whether you are using it or not. Stanford, Connecticut's here. Nashville is here. Yes, I wonder if that's Benjamin. My son is in Nashville. Tell me who you are, Nashville, and what's going on over there today. Folks, if we are not already best friends over on LinkedIn, that's how you find me. I would love to be introduced to you over there. I do post a few things there on week by week, and if you want to keep up with what I'm up to, that's the best place to do it. Today, this is a travel week for me. I already mentioned I'm off tomorrow to Chicago to get to go talk to an amazing customer. After that, it's a conference event over in the great city of Cincinnati, Ohio. Anybody there? I would love to meet up if you are. All right, folks, I told you last week we're going to have a big dump of content, but you know what? I'm still editing some of that together, but you can find all of that over on the podcast, which is called Cloud Talk. Interestingly enough, you can find that anywhere that podcasts are found. So go and check that out. Also, if you're into this whole learning thing, I would encourage you to head over to rackspace.com/solve. In fact, this video live stream right here, as well as the podcast, as well as so much more content, is made available to you over on our thought leadership page called rackspace.com/solve. So head over there and get your learn on. Folks, we're in the deep processes of finishing up, well, in the middle of working on the new white paper for our AI research. There's some really interesting stuff that showed up. And if you're not heading over to that Solve webpage, you're not going to be able to get it for free, like all the other amazing stuff that is for free over there. Todd, so glad that you are here. San Diego in the house. I can't see your name for some reason. It's not coming through. A list is here from Cleveland. We have Karen from sunny Chicago. Karen, I hope we keep it sunny. I'm going to be up there tomorrow. All right, let's see what we have next on the old hit parade. You know what's next? I'll tell you what's next. I want to bring up our guest for today, Justin Snyder, a racker. I thought he'd been here for a long time. Turns out a long time equals last October. But he's going to be my new best friend. I can already tell that. So Justin Snyder is one of our pre-sales architects over in all things Copilot and Microsoft, and we're going to quiz him today. He doesn't know this, but he's getting. We're going to send him down a whole lot of tests today. But Justin, welcome to the program.
Good morning, Jeff. Happy Monday. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, so glad that you're here. Now you are joining us from beautiful Pittsburgh.
That is correct. Always beautiful. 200 cloudy days a year.
200 cloudy days a year. That sounds miserable. Hey, Sean Gardner's here. Welcome, Sean. And Dubai is here as well. Justin, did you realize this is such a global audience that we have here?
No, but being at Rackspace is very global. It makes sense. It's great to see, though. It's awesome.
It is. It's so fun. Did you know also, since we're playing 20 questions, that I was born
Mm.
in York, Pennsylvania? But that was a long time ago.
I did not. Crazy
Home,
enough, I
crazy.
wasn't born in Pennsylvania.
Where were you born?
New Jersey. So just
Well, producer
rolled over to the state
and
over.
then you need, yeah, no, you moved far, didn't you?
Yeah.
Producer Daniel over in Jersey as well. So you
Ah.
guys should become fast friends. All right, so we have Canada here as well. Welcome, Usha. We're glad that you are here. Now, folks, we are here to talk about Microsoft Copilot. And I think, Justin, we're going to start at the very, very beginning. Now, I also have to say a quick apology. You may hear a chicken in the background. I'm out at our little property outside of San Antonio, and this is prime egg laying time of the day, and they get really chatty. So if you guys hear some funny chicken sounds, it's just the chickens. That's all there is to it. Chicken is not a Copilot, Justin. Let's talk about Copilot.
No.
What is Microsoft Copilot? Let's start there.
Good question to start. So, Microsoft 365 Copilot is a generative AI tool built by Microsoft leveraging OpenAI that utilizes the Microsoft 365 apps that you know today. So, you might already know other generative AI tools like Copilot by itself or other solutions, but Copilot for Microsoft 365 takes that and gives it access and ability to use and leverage the same data you have within Microsoft 365. So you can use it directly in Word, directly in Outlook, but then you can also leverage the data within your organization. And that's what makes Copilot for Microsoft 365 so powerful.
Okay, a lot of words in there. So I'm going to break it down even easier for some folks. And so if you go out and play with ChatGPT and you ask it some clever questions, you ask it to sing you a song, write you a sonnet, come up with a vacation plan and a meal menu. It does all of those things because it has access to, at some degree of refreshness, the internet. But what it does, you can't necessarily do is say, summarize my email thread with Justin or some other individual group because it only has access to the public side. But when you make statements so that it's using OpenAI, which means that's the same technology that makes ChatGPT run, but it is looking at your internal content. So in the case that I just use, email, you can now start to ask the Copilot questions about email. Justin, for instance, what might somebody ask their email other than summarize a thread?
Oh, good question. Other than summarizing a thread, you might ask Copilot to help you draft a response to a customer. You might have it help you draft a response internally. A lot of times we're dealing with very strategic or sort of more wanting to be more collaborative in our communications. And
Yeah.
Copilot can help us do that. So it can look at what we're writing, or it can help generate content and then help us iterate on it to get it in the voice or the messaging that we really want, so that we can make sure we're communicating the words we really want to communicate.
Right. Okay. I have to ask the obvious security question then is
Mm.
if we now are pointing that at our email, does that mean that ChatGPT has access to my email?
ChatGPT does not. I think it's really important from a security perspective that there is a lot of prep that organizations should be doing to make sure that their tenants are secure. But ChatGPT isn't sort of aggregating and sending all of your email and keeping all of your email and adding it to the LLM. It's simply using it in the context of your organization with its understanding of its large language model for generative AI and
Yeah.
keeping that within the org.
Now is for clarification's sake, we say we're utilizing OpenAI technology to run the Copilot stuff. Is it the same underlying infrastructure, or does Microsoft have a separate set of infrastructure to run the Copilot?
So yes and no. So there are lower levels of the service that I would say Microsoft is leveraging that are similar to ChatGPT and OpenAI that are the same backbone. But there's layers on top of that that Microsoft has sort of obfuscated or added onto that allow us to, one, secure the content that's in Microsoft 365, but as
Right.
well ground our responses of the tool in that same content like we talked about.
Right. So, and if you're geeks like us and you like to read the terms and conditions and how all this stuff runs, you know that if you go in through the web interface, that anything that really happens in that context, mostly, becomes part of the larger corpus of information. But if you're utilizing API backends, then you have ways of securing your data and keeping it all separate, which is part of how they're doing that. All right, so Justin, we've used an example of email, but let's talk about, and this is something that I really love about this feature, is it's not just this open world of, hey, let's talk about anything with your Copilot, but ultimately what we're doing is we're saying, based on this knowledge of information that I'm doing, whether it is the data itself or whether it's how to use some of these tools, Copilot is there to enable the knowledge worker. In fact, here at Rackspace, we have this offering called FAIR, the Foundry for AI at Rackspace. In fact, I talked about that a little bit last week if you caught that episode. And ultimately, one of the core tenets that we believe that AI should do for individuals is to help knowledge workers be better, faster, more efficient at the things that they do. So Justin, let's talk about the rest of the Microsoft suite for a second. In fact, maybe we'll throw Excel up here as the next example. How might Copilot make me better in Excel?
Really good question. To handle the Excel point, I think not only in Excel, but other tools like Power BI, uh, Copilot is really good at seeing trends and seeing patterns and analyzing your data in ways
Mm.
that you wouldn't necessarily see on the surface. So you might be putting your data in a certain structure and be like, oh, I'm looking for a certain number, I'm looking for a certain result, maybe biasing what you're looking for. But what Copilot does is really looks at that more objectively. It can help give you some insights and glean some insights that you might not have been expecting, which for a lot of the customers we're working with already with Copilot in structured data, it's been giving them a lot of useful benefits because of that.
That's really interesting. And so really something to call out there, folks, is it's the co-pilot looking over your shoulder. It is not the pilot. It's not there to do the job for you because you know what you're trying to generate, and it's there to help you be more efficient. And I throw out the example, and you find this throughout all of the suite as well, but it's not just about how do I get my information to give me the answers that I want specifically, but how do I use the tool to do what I'm doing? So you may want to visualize your data in a certain way, but not know the right pivot table, not know the right way to pull some of that off. You can actually ask the Copilot to do that work for you, correct?
Absolutely. And I think that's something in the industry that some people get concerned about is like, hey, AI is taking over my job, taking over what I can do or whatever. But that's really not what Copilot for Microsoft 365 is there for. It's there to enhance. It's there to help validate, not necessarily validate. We're ultimately validating and making sure that responses aren't hallucinating, but it's there to enrich that experience into increase and create proficiencies in the user's workflow. So ultimately, it doesn't, again, like you said, it doesn't give you the answer. It helps you create and make an answer that is more effective and quicker than you may have if doing
Right.
it by yourself.
Imagine you've got, in this case, an Excel expert who's literally just standing over your shoulder going, no, click the left button. Here, let me type this for you. Is this what you're asking for? Not trying to tell you this is what you want, but is this really what you're trying ultimately to accomplish?
Exactly. And it's like developers, if you are familiar with the term rubber duck debugging, it's actually a lot like rubber duck debugging, except the rubber duck has the entire internet available to it. So when you ask it, when you say something to it, it's going to respond back with it what it thinks based off of the entire world's information.
So not a rubber duck, but I do have my little
And there
chip
you
mug
go.
today that I'm having my coffee out of, in case anybody has wondered, what in the heck is he drinking out of? So folks, you've gotten a little bit quiet, and I think that this is a great opportunity for you to ask a true expert in the Copilot space some questions if you have them. First of all, I'd love to know, are you using Copilot today inside of your organization? And or if you are and you want to give us an example, share that. If you have a question, ask it. Now's the time to do it. So, so we talk about this in the context of the Office suite, but that's not where it ends. Of course, we can talk about how Word is going to use the tooling, and PowerPoint. I mean, you can have it create your presentation for you. In fact, let's talk PowerPoint. I spend way too much time in it, so maybe we can make my life a little bit easier. Can I just create an outline and have it create the deck for me? Is it really that easy in some cases?
Yeah, actually, it is. It is really really amazing. Ultimately, you want to validate that, right? You want to make sure that what it's putting together is true and it's not hallucinating. But I've seen others been able to not only create the outline of a deck, but also style the deck, add animations, add transitions, all through Copilot.
All the stuff. And if you think about a fancy deck that you're going to create, a lot of times, if you've been involved in doing this work, you know that you are working with a group of people. What is it we need to communicate? What is that flow of the story? Because a PowerPoint presentation really should tell a story. So what's that story arc? You're going to create a Word document maybe that has that outline, but that's literally what you're going to feed into the Copilot and say, show me what you got.
Absolutely. And I think a question we just saw in the chat is about what functions and roles are finding embracing Copilot most enthusiastically. So for me, I don't know about you, Jeff, but I see three big areas. I see the creatives. So anyone that needs to create content that is creative, that is varying, that you need multiple iterations for. I see users who are more sort of secretariat. So think of like project managers and product managers and program managers who need to note meetings and get follow-ups and all those action items, because that's a really good thing in teams. And then the third user base is more of the strategic. And that's where Copilot is helping give more of that analytical and sort of informational guidance, not necessarily content, but analysis and insights. And those are really those three roles that I see using it the most.
That's good stuff. All right, so there's nothing but benefits, or at least upsides, if we do this right. But that really gets back to that phrase, Justin, if we do this right. How do we prepare as an organization to utilize this as a tool? Because I can't imagine this is the kind of thing we just want to flip a switch on, but we want to prepare for. So take me through that process.
Really good question. And I have to say, with Copilot, because it's a tool that you can do so much so quickly, we see a lot of organizations really trying to adopt and enable it really quickly, which is great. But there are some things that organizations should keep in mind and should plan for when adopting and deploying. First, you want to make sure your environment's secure. That includes things like making sure that you have MFA enabled through Entra ID, controlling your devices and endpoints through Microsoft Intune, making sure that your data isn't being leaked, or that you don't have loss of critical confidential data through Microsoft Purview. And then ultimately also making sure that you not only do the technical bits, but you plan for the actual user adoption. Because Copilot and LLMs and generative AI is such a paradigm shift in the world. It's basically like if you added a whole new app to the Word, PowerPoint, Excel suite and said, hey, it works completely differently. You really need to educate and develop where those personas and those use cases are in the organization to understand how your users and those functions and roles that would use it most can use it effectively. And then from there, plan extensions, Copilot Studio customizations, and workflows that work in the way of your business.
Okay, I love that. So that's how we get set up for and make sure that we're positioned for success. A lot of it gets back to the foundation of security. We want to make sure that we have that in place, and then a roadmap for adoption. But one of the things that I find in technology adoption that is the most challenging is the people side, the organization side. How do we prepare for not just enabling individuals to utilize the tool, but how do we manage it over time? Because in a cloud-first world, which in this scenario, we are 100% cloudy in this world. It is not a set and forget. So first question, how do we position the organization for success? Secondly, how do we manage that success and continued success over time?
Really good question. And ultimately it comes back to those same items. But what's great about that is Rackspace. Here at Rackspace, we have offerings that we've developed that help customers do that in a very, I would say, a very structured way, and a path that is very illuminated. So we are going from point A to point B. It's a two-step process where we have special partnership with Microsoft, where they complete a readiness assessment for your organization for adoption of Microsoft 365 Copilot. Goes through, looks at those things that we talked about for personas. It looks at, hey, what are your use cases? Where are you at in your current state in security, so that when you were to plan and implement security, what do you need to change, and gives you sort of that idea. Then through Rackspace's Elastic Engineering offering, in our pre-flight checks for Microsoft 365 Copilot, we can do those things that are referenced in those recommendations on top of what you're alluding to, which is more of that operational management. In
Mm.
Copilot and every other application in Office 365, it's Microsoft and it's cloud. So it's updated every, not just every quarter, every month, right? So there's
Every
new
second.
changes, there's new features, right? And customers need to take advantage of those because you're paying licensing for that. So what we do is we make sure that over time you're operationalizing sort of that deployment of that application and making sure that users are adopting that and sort of reiterating and re-emphasizing the value and the importance of that deployment.
All right, so that's excellent stuff. There's obviously so much more that we could talk about here. In fact, Justin, you now have an open invitation, and we'll schedule. Maybe you can
Anytime.
come back and show some demos. Everybody loves a good demo. Hey, look what Daniel just put up on the screen. There it is, right there. If you're interested in learning more about Rackspace's capabilities, you can go there and learn. If you think Justin's smart, he's the tip of the iceberg in our knowledge here, and so it's really exciting. As somebody who comes up out of the Microsoft space myself. SharePoint, I came to Rackspace in 2008. Can you believe that? 2008 to launch the SharePoint offering here at Rackspace, and then a bunch of other Microsofty things along the way. And it's so excited to see how all of this has come together in a way that is making such an impactful improvement. Now, obviously, it costs a little money to run this, but one of my favorite tools, folks, when we think Copilot is, if you're not, I know people are about to shudder all around the world because this is not the most popular search engine, but I love me some Bing. If you go to bing.com/chat, you have the power of all of that. If you're using Edge as your browser, you got a Copilot button up in the upper corner, and you can ask questions of the pages you are on. We're not waiting for refreshment of that data. It's going to look at that page and answer your questions live. So just another area where Copilot makes a huge difference. Justin, thank you so much for being here. I would love for you, again, we're going to come back and talk Copilot a whole lot more. Rackspace has some interesting offers there. In fact, just tuck him away for just a second. I don't want you to go too far because I want to bring up a slide in just a minute after we do some other things. That talks about that offering from Rackspace. So you know that I do not like to pitch a lot here, but there's a lot that we can do to help, and I would love to share that with you now. But first of all, folks, as a reminder, let's find the right button to click here. As a reminder, all things that have to do with our thought leadership can be found over at rackspace.com/solve. Articles, research papers. I already told you we're working on the new one about data and AI. That comes out next month. And then, of course, podcast information you can find out there as well. And what I want to show you now is actually how Rackspace, what am I hearing? How Rackspace can, there is, somehow I've turned that on. So Rackspace is offering in and around all things Copilot. Let me find that button right there. It is. Oh, yes. Hang on 1 second. All right, let's just do this. Let's just do this little number right here. Normally, we don't want to share the background of the PowerPoint, but you know what? For some strange reason, Justin's voice is all behind this content, which is nifty and all, but it's not what we want to hear. All right, so let's push that button. Let's go back to here. So many things to push. All right, so at Rackspace, the ability to help not only with what Microsoft has, and that's around their 365 Copilot Readiness Assessment, but also what Rackspace can do to help get Copilot deployed in an effective and amazing way. So folks, if you are interested in learning more about what Rackspace can do to help you out, then I would love for you to click that little where is it? Right there. QR code up in the corner. And with that, you're going to be able to learn everything that Rackspace has to do, enabling you to launch Copilot for your organization. Or if you've already launched it, how to do it more better, using as best English as possible, and jump in from there. And folks, if you enjoyed this today, I hope that you did. Share this link with other folks, and we'll have Justin back on in the future. Next week, we've got an amazing guest for you, and we'll be back on Tuesday for that. I don't remember who the guest is. Maybe Daniel, if you have the calendar up, you can tell me and I can tell the world. But folks, I hope that you've had a great time here today. This is a Monday episode of a normal Tuesday show. I'll tell you, my schedule looks pretty weird over the next quarter or two. So we'll do the best I can to notify you when we're going to go live. We'll shoot for our Tuesdays at 8:30, but it may be any time of the week. All right, folks, I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Let's roll some out music. There it is, folks. This has been another episode of Cloud Talk Live. We are back next week with another guest, and I hope you have a great, not only rest of your day, but rest of your week. Happy Monday, everyone.